The Valorian Empire had conquered 47 worlds in 3 centuries. Their warships blotted out suns, their armies crushed civilizations, and their ultimatums were never refused. Until they reached Sol System. Commander Julia Reeves stood on the bridge of the UHNS Defiance, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien armada. 300 ships, each one dwarfing Earth's largest vessels. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in tense silence, their fingers dancing across consoles bathed in red emergency lighting. "They're hailing us again," Lieutenant Oscar Chen said from the communications station, his voice tight with controlled fear. He'd been Julia's right hand for 5 years, through pirate raids and border skirmishes, but nothing had prepared them for this. "Put them through," Julia ordered, her voice steady despite the ice in her veins. The screen flickered, revealing the imposing figure of High Executors. His 4 eyes gleamed with predatory confidence. His scaled features twisted into what might have been amusement. "Human Commander," his voice resonated through the translation matrix. "Your silence has been noted. The Valorian Empire demands Earth's unconditional surrender. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply, bow or be reduced to ash." Julia stepped forward, her boots echoing on the metal deck. "High Executor, humanity has a different answer for empires that demand submission." She paused, letting the moment stretch. "We've studied your conquests. Every species you defeated shared one trait: they feared extinction more than they valued freedom." Zarthok's mandibles clicked in what the translation software interpreted as laughter. "And humans do not fear death." "How refreshingly naive." "We fear it," Julia replied calmly. "We just refuse to let that fear define us. You want our answer? Here it is." "No." The connection severed. Oscar was at her side immediately. "Commander, that was suicide," Julia finished, a ghost of a smile crossing her lips. "Maybe, but we didn't come this far as a species by rolling over." She turned to the tactical officer. "Status of the Prometheus Protocol. All installations ready, Commander. Earth, Mars, Luna, and the outer colonies. We're as prepared as we'll ever be." Oscar leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Julia, even with the protocol, we're outnumbered 20 to 1. The simulations showed us losing every conventional engagement," she interrupted, "which is exactly why we're not fighting conventionally." Her eyes met his, and Oscar saw something there that made him stand straighter. Not recklessness, but absolute conviction. "Our ancestors didn't survive ice ages and world wars by accepting defeat. We adapt, we endure, and sometimes, we burn everything down rather than surrender it." 20 hours later, the Valorian fleet advanced. They expected panic, desperate negotiations, perhaps a token resistance before the inevitable capitulation. What they encountered instead rewrote their understanding of human nature. The first wave of Valorian ships crossed the Mars orbital line, their shields shimmering with confidence. That's when Earth's trap sprang shut. The asteroid belt, humanity's largest engineering project in history, came alive. Over 2 years, thousands of mining crews had worked in secret, converting thousands of asteroids into kinetic weapons. Now, at Julia's command, those rocks became meteors, their courses calculated with brutal precision. Oscar watched the tactical display as chaos erupted through the enemy formation. "They're breaking formation. Shields are holding," but he paused, his eyes widening. "Commander, they're trying to retreat." "Now," Julia said simply, "Phase 2 activated. Every human ship in the system, from military destroyers to civilian haulers retrofitted with weapons, emerged from behind planetary shadows and within asteroid cover. They weren't trying to win a fleet engagement, they were suicide vessels, each one carrying enough antimatter to sterilize a continent. But they didn't need to make contact. The threat alone, combined with the asteroid bombardment, forced the Valorian fleet into an impossible position: advance into the teeth of humanity's desperate fury, or withdraw and admit that the unconquerable empire could be defied. High Executor Zarthok reappeared on screen, his 4 eyes blazing with rage. "You doom yourselves. We will return with twice this force and burn your worlds too." "You won't," Julia interrupted, her voice cutting like steel, "because we've already transmitted everything to every species in your empire. Every world you've conquered now knows the truth: you're not invincible. You can be resisted, and if you come back here, we won't just fight you. We'll make this system a graveyard so expensive that your empire will bleed resources for decades. We'll make resistance look attractive to every subjugated world you control." She leaned forward, her reflection ghosting across the viewscreen. "You came here to make us bow. Instead, you've given us a gift. You've shown us what we're capable of when we refuse to kneel." So go back to your empire, Executor. Tell them about the species that chose flames over chains. Tell them about the humans who would rather die standing than live on their knees." The transmission ended. Oscar exhaled slowly, his hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline began to fade. "Do you think they'll leave?" Julia watched the Valorian fleet on the display, saw the massive ships beginning their slow turn away from Earth. "They're already leaving. We hurt them, Oscar. More importantly, we scared them. Not because we're stronger, but because we proved we're willing to pay any price for freedom." "They'll be back someday," Oscar said quietly. "Probably," Julia agreed. She looked around the bridge at her crew humans who had stared into the abyss and refused to blink. "But when they do, they'll remember what happened here. And maybe, just maybe, some of those 47 conquered worlds will remember too. Sometimes the greatest weapon isn't in what you destroy, but in what you inspire." Through the viewport, Earth turned slowly beneath them, scarred but unbroken. The Valorian Empire had demanded submission and received defiance. They had expected fear and encountered fury. They had threatened flames and discovered that humans had been forged in fire long before the stars knew their names. The Empire's reckoning hadn't come in humanity's destruction. It had come in the realization that some species would rather burn the galaxy than bow. And in that moment, aboard the Defiance, Julia Reeves and her crew had rewritten the rules of conquest not with superior weapons or numbers, but with the simple, terrifying power of refusing to surrender. The galaxy would never be the same.